Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Subject Computer Science for 12th Standard A section. Unit 3 Modularity and OOPS. So we are at the last chapter of Unit 3, chapter number 10, Python classes and objects. In this unit, we are going to discuss the following topic: introduction, defining classes, creating objects, accessing class members, class methods, constructor and destructor in Python, public and private data members, sample programs to illustrate classes and object. The topic of the the topic of the lesson is classes and object in Python. Python is also comes under object-oriented programming languages. So of course, last year we learned C++ language, which also comes under object-oriented programming language. I mean, last year we detailedly understand what is the concept of object-oriented language. So here I try to recall all the topics in brief. So, what is object-oriented programming language? So, this is the technique where we look at all the object, all the things as a object. So, this is a theoretical concept where five important concepts are used in object-oriented programming language. Number one, class, object, encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance. So last class we discussed detailedly about this object-oriented programming language in C++ language. So Python is also comes under same category. So in Python also we can create class, we can create object, we can use polymorphism, inheritance techniques. So now we are going to see how we can create classes and object in Python in this lesson. So class is the main building block in Python. Object is a collection of data and function that act on those data. So class is a template for the object. So whatever object we create in Python, all the objects comes under any class. So class is otherwise called as a template as are building blocks in Python. So according to concept of object oriented programming, objects are also the instance for a of a class or class variable. So here class is also known as a data type in Python. So now in this topic we are going to see how we can create a class. So the very simple method in syntax you can see the keyword class. After giving a single space, we should mention the class name. So the variable, how we create a variable in the same manner we can create the class. So the class name must follow the conditions or rules for giving the variable name in Python, which we already discussed in the earlier chapters. After that, we should terminate that line with the colon symbol. After mentioning this line, by giving the tab space for all the statement which should be enclosed in that particular class, so we should give the tab space for all the statement. So if the statement which should not include in this class, then we can remove the tab space before that statement. So tabs plays a very vital role in Python. So in C++ we use the curly braces for grouping the blocks, but in Python we use tabs for grouping the statement in function as well as in class. So in class, all statements here, statement refers to declaration of variable using the decision or control statement or loop statement, and even function definition also can be used inside the class. So class may contain variable name, class may contain control structure. That is if statement, if else statement, loop like for loop, while loop, or even for class may contain functions also. That function may be user defined or built in. So but the term used for variable and the function you created within the class are different. The variable which is defined inside the class are called as class variable, whereas uh, function which was declared inside the class are called methods. So if you declare a variable other than the area in class, then that variable are called variables because they are general variable which didn't come into any class category. So whatever variable we declare inside a class are called class variable. Whatever function we declare inside the class are called methods. So this is these variable, that is class variable and methods, are called members of the class. So each and every class variable and methods function which are defined inside the class are called methods, which can be accessed only through the object or instance of class. So by creating an object only we can access this class variable and methods. So how we can create class object for this class? See, in this topic we discuss how we can create a object in the class. Very simple. So use create a object name, use the is equal symbol, and type the class name which we already created, and use the parenthesis symbol. So we use the parenthesis symbol for some purpose which we'll learn in the upcoming topic. Now we discuss how to create a class, how to create a class variables, how to create methods, and how to access a class members. So here class members refers to class variable and methods of any class. So by creating the object, after creating the object using the syntax, we can access the members of the class using the following method, that is by using the dot symbol. So type the object name, use the dot, then list of member will display. Select which member you want to access. So this is the simple method for you accessing the member of the class. So we will see and learn how we can create class, how we can create object, and how we can access the class members in Python. So using the program 10.1, open the Python program. So I already created a file, namely 10.p 10.1. So open that file. You can see there is a class which contain different members. So open the file name p 10.1. So here you can see a class is created, namely sample, where two class variables are declared. So the variable which is declared inside the class should not be called as variable, it should be called as class variable. That's why we use the term class variable. So xy are the class variable. So the value for the x is 20, 10, and value for the y is 20. After that we create a instance, that is we create a object. So we can call object as instance also. So object name is s is equal to class name. We follow this syntax method for creating object. See here, object name is equal to class member. The same rule is followed here for creating object or instance for the class. So s is equal to sample, open parenthesis, close parenthesis. So here you can see class is created here, and there is only one statement within that class, because we use tabs space only for this statement. So that's why this statement is only this statements only comes under the class sample. After creating the object for the class or instance for the class, we try to access the class members. So here you can see by using the print function, we try to print the value of x. So here you can see that s dot y names are used here because we cannot access x directly, because x is not a variable, it is a class variable. So if you want to access any class variable or class member, then you should use the object name as prefix with the dot symbol. So that's why we use this s dot x, s dot y. Here you can see s dot x plus s dot y we use to add the values of the symbol. Now I am going to run this program. You can see the value x and y value are displayed, and there are some also displayed here. So if you try to change the value variable name, for example, if you try to access the x value without using the object, for example, we should give the variable name as s dot y, but here we use only x. After changing this coding, when I try to run the program, you can see there was an error. So what is the error? Name error. Name x is not defined. So Python throws an error That the error, what is the error? Name x is not defined. Python says there was no variable with the name x because x is not a variable, x is a class variable because x and y is declared inside the class. If you want to access any class, then you should create a object or instance for the class after giving the object name and with the dot symbol, and try to access the variable name. So here you can see I give the object name s dot y, x dot s dot x and s dot y. When I try to run, you can see the same error occurred because here when I try to access the variable x, class variable y, I give the object name as capital letter S. But when I try to access the variable class variable x, I give the object name as small letter s. So at the time of creating a object, we should remember the object name is also case sensitive. So if you create an object with capital letter, then you should give as it is. So I change the object name or instant name into capital letter, uh, and I try to run the program. Now you can see there was no error. So this is how we can create class on the instant or object for the class, and by using that object we can access the members of the class. Now we are going to understand the next topic called class method. What is method? Method nothing but a function. A function which was declared inside any class, then that function called as method. The only difference between the normal function and a method in Python is whenever we create a function in general, we may give or when we may give or not, it is up to our we may create an argument or argument for the function. It is up to your user requirement. But whenever we try to create a methods, that is function inside a class, then we should give the first argument name as self. So here you can see self. The word should be mentioned within the parentheses of the function name because self is the first argument of method, that is the function declared inside the class. This is the only difference between normal function and method. So next one is no need to pass a value for this argument when we call the method. Python provides this value automatically even if a method takes no argument. It should be defined within the first argument called self. If a method is defined to accept only one argument, it will take it as a two argument, that is self and the defined argument. So here if you want to create any argument for method, then you can set the second argument for the same method. So we can understand these class methods using two programs. So first program is 10.2 where we try to create methods without argument, and 10.3 where we create methods with argument. So now I'm going to open the file program 10.2 where we create a class methods without argument. So 10.2, here you can see a class is declared, namely student. Inside this class we given many statements. So the first statement where we create class variable, namely mark 1, mark 2, mark 3, and each and every variable have a unique values, that is 45 for mark 1, 91 for mark 2, 71 for mark 3. After that we create a function or method. So we should use the method term here because the function which is declared inside a class must be called as method. So here def, by using the def statement we create a function. So sorry, method. So def method name is process. After that we should give the self as a first argument for any method which is created inside a class. So this is the method. After creating the method, we given some statement for that method where we try to access the class members or class variables mark 1, mark 2, mark 3. So here we use the class name as prefix to the class members. So this is this normal rule for accessing any class member within the class. So student dot mark 1 plus student dot mark 2 plus student dot mark 3. So here each and every variable must contain the class name as prefix, because all this variable comes under class variable. After that we create a sum function and we create a average variable where we store the average of the sum and try to display the total and as well as average. At the end of the method we use the return keyword where we try to give the return value to the called function area. So after that we can see the two statements were used. One is here we try to create the object for the class. So object name is s is equal to class name is student. So after that we try to access the class method, namely process. So s dot process by process is the method which was created inside the function, inside the class called student. So here I am trying to run the program. You can see by using the object yes, we try to access the all members of the class of student. So we access the mark 1, mark 2 and as well as total sum of variable declared inside the class student. So this is the method where we create method without argument. Now we are trying to open another file where we create a method with argument. So open the next program 10.3. In this program, you can see a new class is created, namely odd underscore even, and a class variable is also created, even is equal to 0, and a method is created with a single argument. So self is not considered as a user defined argument because self is a default argument for each and every method declared created within any class. So check is the method name, self is the default argument, and num is the first user defined argument. So here you can see num variable is modulized to number 2 and find the remainder for the value. And if the remainder, if the given, if the yield value is equal to 0, then it is a even number. If the remainder is not 0, then it is an odd number. We try to display by using the if. Of course, we know all these things. So after that, completing the class, we try to create an object for the class. So here object name is n. So n is equal to odd underscore even. After that, we create another variable where we get a value from the user by using two function. One is input function, another one is in function. By using input function we access the input, and by using the in function we convert the given input into integer and store the value in the x. So this statement only execute first. After that only if we access the member of the class, then that statement will execute. So here we can see we are using a n object to access the method check, and we try to send the x as a argument. So this x will store inside the num. So self is not a user defined argument. That's why whenever user defined input sent through any method, then this will store in the first argument of the user defined argument. So x will store in the variable num. So num value get the x value, and after giving the after going all this process, then there will be output, and that output will be written here. So I am trying to run the program. Here you can see the first statement, enter a value is executed. I am trying to give the value 5. So here you can see 5 is odd number. So when I try to run the same program and try to give any even number, for example 8, then you can see a even number statement will display on the screen. So this is how we can create a method with argument. So in the last file we discussed how to create method without argument. Now in this file we discuss how to create method with argument. Now we are going to understand the next topic called constructor and destructor. Of course we know what is constructor and destructor, which we already discussed in plus one in C++. The same function are here. So constructor and destructor are the two functions. They are called special functions which automatically executed whenever a instance is created for any class. So constructor will use to allocate memory for members of the class, and destructor used to deallocate the memory for the instance of the class. There are two construct there are two special functions, namely constructor and destructor. So constructor is used to allocate memory for the members of the class, and destructor is the function which automatically deallocate the memory for the members of that particular class. So constructor can be created using the following general format, where we use the double quotation, underscore, and init. So init is the default constructor name, underscore method. So here you can see def space double underscore init double underscore. After that we want to mention the arguments for the constructor if you want to send any argument to the constructor. So self is the default argument for any function, of course we already know. So when after that we can mention this statement within that in constructor. So now we are going to see how the constructor will work, and by using the program 10.4. So here we will see discuss how to create a constructor in class. So here you can see a class is created, namely sample. Within that class there was a constructor, namely init. This constructor accept one argument, namely num, and it will display the statement constructor of class sample. After the input argument is accessed, and the input value will display on the screen. So self.num is equal to num. So self.num, now the number of values is access, and the the number sent to the variable variable is stored in the second argument, and they are sent to the output. So here you can see the output constructor of class sample. The value is 10. So 10 value will send to this constructor when we create an object. So s is equal to sample of 10. So when we create any instance or object for any class, automatically the constructor will execute without any accessing. So here you can see we didn't access this method by using the object. We didn't give the statement yes dot init. But in previous program you can see we used to call the method user defined method by using the object, then only the method of class can be accessed. But here we didn't access the method, we just create a object. So here you can see we just create a object, and we set the default value for the variable num, that is 10, which is accessed by the constructor and which was stored in the variable num without any command. So this is called a constructor, which is to allocate the memory for the variable. In next program we will see how the constructor can be used in different methods. So in 10.5 we will try to understand how a constructor can be used for uh, different objects. So whenever we try to create different object for the same class, then each and every time whenever a new object is created, for each and every object the constructor will allocate memory. So here you can see there was a class sample, and within that class there is a constructor, namely init, and we also create a variable num is equal to 0, which was not inside the constructor, but that variable is inside the num. So this variable, class variable, can be accessed within the class, in within the class, and outer of the class also. So because by default all the variable within the class we consider as a public. So here when after we creating a constructor, in the constructor method we try to access the uh, object count by using the num. So whenever we create a object, the object, how much of object is created, how much of object is created and how they are accessed can be calculated by this num function, sorry, num variable. that's why we create this variable. So the purpose of the num variable is to count number of object is created. So whenever the constructor is initialized, or each and every time the value of the num will increase. So here you can see the statement sample dot num plus is equal to 1. It means the value of the num will increase whenever a new object is created. So then the value will store on this variable. So the self variable will access all the input from a new object and store the separate variable for the separate objects. So we try to access the we try to print the object value as well as the num value using this two statement. Here you can see three objects are created and three values are sent to the objects. So here the object values may vary. The first object value is 15, second object value is 35, and third object value is 45. Each and every object values are stored in separate variable, but all the variable names are same, but their memory location and their allotments and their names are different technically. So here first when we create this object, this 15 will store in this variable where, and we display the where variable and as well as the num value. After that, when we create a second object, the second object will store in the variable where in a separate memory. So this memory belongs to the object S2. So separate memory is created for the object S2 by the constructor, and 35 value is displayed on the screen, and again we display the num value in now the value of the num will increase from 1 to 2. So because when we create the first object, the num value will increase from 0 to 1. When we create a second value, the num value is 1, so it will converted from 1 to 2. So 2 will display on the screen. So in the output you can see the object value, that is first object value is 15 and the num value is 1. Second object is created, so value is 35, num value is 2. Third object is created 45, so on the and the num value is 3. So this 1 2 3 will display how many objects are created, which we can calculate by using a num variable which was created as a class variable, public variable inside a class, and each and every time whenever construct is initialized, that value is incremented by 1 by using this statement. So here you can see three objects are created. For each and every object, all the members and memories are allocated for separate memories, and separate names are allocated for each and every object. It means here three class members are created, namely s1.num, s1 s2.num, s2 s3.num, s1.var, s2.var, s3.var, s1.init, s2.init, s3.init. In this manner, all the members which are inside the particular class are separately created for separate objects. So this is how we can we can access the members of the class in a different way. So I hope you understand this concept. Calling a class member, uh, calling a class member and creating multiple objects for a single class. Now we are going to understand the constructor. So what is constructor? So how we can use this constructor? Of course, we can use the constructor in the name in Python called del. So double underscore del double underscore after open and close parenthesis. This constructor will execute automatically whenever the object is terminated. So we can understand this program using 10.6. So here you can see a constructor is created and destructor is also created. So here you can see a constructor is created where it display values of each object and number of time the object is created, and the destructor will display each and every time whenever the object is deallocated. So here when I try to run, you can see the same result of same previous file, but here you can, here the constructor should be executed automatically, but the destructor is not executed, and it will remain constant for all the objects. So it means whenever the destructor will work, then it will display this message object with value, the where value, and each and every time the value of num will decrease one by one. So this destructor will execute only when the deallocation process will happen. So now we're going to execute, understand the concept called public and private data members. So in all the members in class can be categorized into two. Number one, public. Another one is private. What is public and what is private? The variable or any member which was created inside the class can be accessed by all the members of the class and as well as the outside of the class by using the dot operator as a prefix to the object name. But a variable which is defined as a private, the variable prefixed with double underscore becomes private in nature. These variables cannot be accessed can be accessed only within the class. So if you create any class variable, then if you give a double underscore as a prefix to that particular class variable, then it will become a private. Then this variable cannot be accessed outside of the class, but we can access that member variable within the class. So now we are going to understand this public and private concept in 10.7 program. So here you can see a class is created, sample, and a constructor is also created which accept two arguments, namely n1 and n2, and n1 value stored in the variable, and each and every time n1 and n2 values are initialized. But the question is, when we create a n2 inside a class, we give the prefixed symbol double underscore. Here you can see double underscore n2. It means a variable, a class variable name which is prefixed with double underscore, then its accessibility automatically converted into private. So it means n2 variable, class variable, only can access within the class. If you try to access the n2 outside the class, then it will show error. So here in display method we access n1 variable as well as n2 variable. Then display function will display the variable n1 and n2 values. But when we try to access the n1 outside the function, outside the class by using the instant of the class, that is s dot n1, then here you cannot see the error. But when you try to access the n2, that is s2 underscore double underscore n2, in this line you can see the error. So here you can see class and two methods are created and two variables are initialized and two values are sent to class members. So 12 is stored in the variable n1 and 14 will store into the variable n14. By using the object, we access the display method and display the values of n1 and n2. But when we separately access the n1 and n2 outside the class by using the instant, here in n1 there was no error, but when we try to access the n2, then this statement will give the error. So here you can see the output. So class member variable 12, class variable 2 14. So this is the statement of display function. See, so this is the statement of display function. You can see class variable 1 and class variable 2. Two statements are displayed from display function. It was displayed here because we access the display method using the s object. After when we try to access the n1 by using the object, there was no error. So 12 will display on the screen. When we try to access the n2, then you can see the error. So sample object has no attribute. Sample object has no attribute n2. It means we cannot access n2 because when we create the n2 inside the class, at the time of creating, we prefix the variable name, class variable name with the double underscore. So if you remove this double underscore, so here when after removing the n2, when we try to run, you can see the no error will show here. because n2 will become a normal class variable which was declared inside a class. So here you can see we access n2 also because n1 and n2 both variables are public. If you mention the double underscore, then it will erase a error. So this is how we can understand the private and public concept of Python in the classes object. Now we are going to discuss the some of the classes oriented programming. So first program 10.8 where we write a program using a class and object to calculate the area and circumference of a circle. So open the program 10.8. We will understand how to calculate area and circumference for the circle. So here we can see a variable pi is created without double underscore. It means pi is the public variable. So after that we create a constructor where we access the radius value from the outside and we store into the variable radius self dot radius. After that we create two methods area and circumference. We calculate the area and circumference with these two methods by using the formula. Here you can see circle dot pi r square, so radius into 2. So in the same way 2 pi r square formula is executed, 2 into pi circle dot pi. So pi is the public variable, that's why we use here. After that r radius value is calculated and the both values are returned to the called area. So and the outside of the class you can see a variable is created namely r, but the value is accepted from the user by using the input command and it was converted into integer and stored in the variable r. So a radius is accepted and stored in the variable r. So here object for the class circle is created and r value is sent as a default value for the radius. So after that we call the area method c dot area and c dot circumference. Here we get the area for the circle and the area for the circumference of the area circle will display on the particular called area. So when we try to run this program you can see the output will display and it will ask enter a radius. Now I'm trying to give the radius value 5. So you can see area of the circle and circumference of the circle. So this is the simple method for creating methods and objects for a class. Now we will see the next program. Here we will trying to create a program, menu driven program that keeps record of books available in your school library. So here we want to create a menu driven program. So here we want to create menu like program where we so I'm going to open the program 10.9 to understand the menu driven program using class in Python. So here you can see a class is created namely library and within that class three methods are created. One is constructor which accept book name author as a default variable. So and get data method which accept book name and author name by using input method, and display method will display the value of the name of the book and author of the book, as well as it will display a slash n, that is a empty line will display on the screen. So we will see outside of the class. So outside of the class we create a list namely book. The list is empty list, there was no item in the list. So after that we create a variable ch, so choice variable. The choice variable value is default and we create a while function, sorry, while loop control structure. So while ch is equal to y, of course this loop will execute automatically because ch value is always y whenever we run the program. So it will display the first statement, print add new to display, and try to accept a value from the user, enter your choice. So if we want to enter the choice either 1 or 2, when we press 1 then this condition will execute, that is if response is equal to 1, rsp is equal to 1, then L is equal to library and L dot get data. Here we create an object for library and we access the get data method using the object L, and book dot append L. It means we, after getting the value from the user by using get data method, we add the values to the book list. So by using the append function, so all the values which is given to the get data is stored in the variable in the object L, and that values are added in the list. If you press the response 2, then it will display all the uh, elements of the list by using the for loop. So X in book, then it will display all the values of the list by using the method display. So display function is executed here, and each and every time whenever the display function is displayed, the book value, that is the book elements are displayed with this name, book name, and the self author. So if you press any other number other than 1 or 2, then it will display invalid input and give the correct output. So do you want to continue? So now I'm going to run the program. You can see 1 add new and 2 display books statement is display, and enter your choice. Now I'm going to enter the choice 1. So here I am trying to enter the name of the book. So name of the book is computer. So author name is Blake. Next, and after entering the data, this data computer, author name, book name is computer, and the author name is Blake's, we store in the variable list variable books, and again the while loop will ask for as the option. So I'm trying to enter the more book name and author names. So next book name is chemistry. So author name is Flaris. Now I'm going to add more book names. So here I am adding the name physics, and author name is Adam. So when I try to display the book name, I can use the option, second option. So here I enter the option choice as 2. So this will display all the book name which I already entered. Here you can see book name computer Blake's, the first element, second element chemistry, Flaris, physics, Adam. So all these values are stored in the list, namely book, and they are accessed by the methods of library class. The two methods, one is get data, another one is display data. So after displaying all the data, again it will ask for choice. So then we will try the last choice, that is 3 or any other number 1 2 other than 1 2. So if you press the 3, then it will show invalid input. Do you want to continue? So if you want to continue, then press Y. Then if you don't want to continue, you can see, yeah, you can press N. So if you want to continue, then press Y. So if you press Y, then again it will ask for option. So here I am trying to add a more number of books. Here I am going to add a new element, mathematics, and author name is George. So again it will ask for option. I'm going to enter the option as 2. Here you can see computer, chemistry, physics, mathematics. The fourth element is also added to the list. So it will display, it will ask again for action. So we have only two choice. One, we can add new number. Again we can display display the book value. If you want to exit from this loop, then press the other than 1 or 2. And do you want, when you see that do you want to continue statement, then you can press the N value. It means it will terminate the program. So here only the way to get out from the program is, do you want to press N. So this is how we create a menu like program using Python classes and methods, class variables. Now we will see the next program to accept, to write a program to accept a string and print the number of upper cases, lower cases, vowels, consonant, spaces in the given string. So here we want to accept any string and try to calculate all these upper, lower case, vowel case, consonant in the program. So for each and every work, I created a method in the class. Here you can see class name is string, and we created a constructor where we create many class variables, namely uppercase, lowercase, vowels, consonants, spaces, and string. All the variables are null and they are initialized with the 0, and string values initialized with the space. So, and we create here many methods. One, get str to accept string from the user and store the value in the string. So, and then count underscore upper function will count the number of uppercases letters in the given string using the for loop. So by using the for loop, we access all the characters of the string, and each and every character is compared with the is upper function inbuilt function, and if the condition is true, then uppercase is added with 1. So each and every time when this loop finds any character is in upper, then uppercase variable value is incremented by 1. So in the same way, here we check the every character with a s lower function. If the function is true, then lowercase variable is incremented. And in the same way, we access all the character of string and check the characters with the characters of A, E, I, O, U to identify the vowels by using the in operator. So if the condition is true, then we will increase the vowels value by 1. So again we use the consonant function. Here we check every character with A, E, I, O, U, and here we are using a not in function. And here you can see in the A, E, I, O, U we add additionally a space. So here space is added because where space is also considered as a character in Python. That's why the space AU letters are not added here. So if the condition is true, then the consonant value will increases. So again we use the same for loop method for accessing the character, and each character is compared with the space. If the condition is true, then space value is incremented. So all these methods executed based upon their own condition. So but to access all this method, we create another method called execute, where we access all the methods of the class. Here you can see count upper, count lower, count vowels, count consonant, count space. Methods are accessed within a single method. Then on the outside of the function, the class, if you call this execute function, then it will call all the methods of the class. So after that execute method, here you can see the next method called display, which will display the values of upper, lower, vowels, consonant, space variables values. So this is the number of method, last method of the class. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 9 methods are created inside a class for calculating upper, lower, vowels, consonant, space. So in the outside of the class, we create a single object for the class string, and we access the get str, execute function, and display function. We access only 3 function because in execute function all the counting functions are accessed in the execute. So it will execute all the counting function. So when you run the program, you can see the first get str function will execute and will ask for entering any string. So here I'm going to enter the string, namely computer science. So just press the enter. Now you can see the given string contains 2 upper letters. Of course, C and S is the 2 upper letters, 13 lower letters. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 lower letters are here and 5 vowels. So count A, E, I, O, U in this center string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see 5 vowel letters are in this string. So unbalanced are 10 consonant and 1 space. So totally 16 characters are here. So in this manner we can calculate the number of vowels, number of lower letters, upper letters, and consonant and space also. So next we will see the next program where we try to create a program to store product and its cost price and display all the available products and prompt to enter quantity all products. So finally generate a bill which will display the total amount to be paid. So here what we want to do, we want to create a program where we accept the products and their values cost price. After that display all the product name and cost price and accept the order number of quantities requirement, and based upon the number of quantity requirement we want to generate a bill. So now we are going to open the program 10.11. So open the program 10.11. So in this program you can see a class is created, namely my store, and there is many lists are created. So list can be created using square bracket, which we already discussed in the chapter number 9. So here four lists are created. One is product code, another one is product name, cost price, product quantity, and first method is created, namely get data, which accept all the product data like product code, product name, cost price one by one. So first it will ask enter number of product you need to store in your shop. So when we enter number of product, then we'll accept that number of product details. For example, if you enter 5, then it will ask for 5 product name, 5 product code, 5 product prices. All the data will store in this variable. After storing the data, all the data are displayed on the screen by using the for loop, by using the display method. So after displaying all the method, the another function print bill will ask to enter the quantity for the product. So number of quantity which you record for each and every product, you can enter the quantity. All the quantities will save in the product and they are calculated and one by one printed on the screen by using the for loop structure. So here you can see object is created for my store and get data, display and print bill will execute one by one. So product details and product price will calculated here in the print bill. So when I try to run the program, you can see enter number of products you need to store. I'm going to enter number of product as 5. So then this program will ask to enter 5 product names details. So first product name 101, product name is Pepsodent. So price will be 25. Next product code 1002, Colgate. So price will be 35. Next product 003, Miss Walk. Price is 45. So if you entered any wrong input, then it will show error, because enter cost is the variable where we should enter the string, then enter the numbers only, then only the value is converted into integer and stored in the cost list. So here you can see the error. So whenever we enter any value, it is converted into integer. That's why it will arise an error here. So again we want to run the program, we want to get input carefully. So 1001 Pepsodent, price is 25. 1002 Colgate, price is 35. 1003 Buck, price is 45. 1004 Red Paste, price is 35. 1004 Sensodyne, price 65. So after entering 5 data, all the data are accepted and stored in the list of variable, that is You can see product code, product name, cost and price are stored using the get data method. After get data will execute, we will access the method display, which will display all the data in the different format. For that format we use this print statement. So when I press the command, you can see first stock in store in the statement. After that dash 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 will print, and product code, product name and cost price will print. So each and every statement we use the slash t. That's why you can see the tab space between this string. And again we use the dash 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 print, and after printing the dash dash we run the for loop for accessing each and every code of product code list, a product name and cost price. So all the products are displayed one by one, and for each and every product name we used to give slash tab, and after entering the data we print the dash dash dash. So that's why you get the all the report like structure here. So after executing the display method, we try to display the we execute the print underscore bill, where a total underscore price is variable declared, and by using the for loop all the data are appended. So it will ask the number of quantities for each and every product which we want required here. So I'm going to enter product, for example number of quantity quantity is 10, 40, 30, 20, 50. So all the products code will accept the product number of quantities. All this quantity is stored in the variable product underscore quantity list. After running the program, this for loop, then it will calculate the total price for the product and cost price. When I press the enter key, you can see for each and every product there is a separate total, and for all the value that the grand total will display on the screen. So this will display by using this for loop, where we'll display all the product code, product name, product cost price, product quantity and total, as well as we display the total price of the bill. So this is how we create a program using class and methods in Python. So I hope you understand the class and objects in Python program. So try to execute all the program, understand the concept, prepare the question and answers of the book back exercises. This is the end of this lesson. I hope you understand the lesson. If you have any doubt, contact me through WhatsApp and prepare for examination. Thank you. Best of luck.